And we are back. I'm still on the dad trivia section of Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story. And so here we go. Dad, what is your favorite dessert? Ooh, well, while I do love everything chocolate, and I will completely murder a chocolate cake, velvet cake, like I said, anything chocolate. I have to say my go-to dessert is a carrot cake with the really really good homemade carrot cake with the oh my gosh, what is it? The cream cheese icing. Oh, so good, so good. What is your favorite memory from the last 12 months? Well, Japan with my boys. Went to Japan with Mark and Michael. Wonderful time. Oh, was we just had a blast. So I'd have to say that entire trip within the last 12 months, that was awesome. Italy with mom, my wife and I, Tina, we went to Italy. We had a ball. The food, the landscape, it was just incredible. Had a great time there. And diving with Faith just a couple weeks ago. Went with Faith on a quickie scuba dive in South Carolina. We're going again in August, so I'd say for 2026, Japan with the boys, Italy with my wife, and scuba diving in Grand Cayman with Faith. Those are probably three top memories. If you could only eat three things for a year with no effect on your health, what would you pick? Now, some people might look at that question and go, okay, no effect on my health. Oh, I'm going to eat candy or chocolate or cake or, sweets, cookies, whatever. I couldn't do that because I figured after a while you'd get sick of eating that stuff. I mean, it it may not make you fat, but it certainly ain't going to make you feel good. So I went practical to a fault, right? I said if I could only eat three things in a year or for a year, eggs, because I eat eggs every day for breakfast, so I could continue to easily eat eggs every day. Bananas and peanut butter. So eggs for breakfast, banana and peanut butter for lunch, and probably banana and peanut butter for dinner. I think I could do it. I think I could eat that every day for an entire year, and I'd be good. What is your definition of success? I wrote being comfortable with yourself, knowing who you are. That comes with being able to admit when you are wrong. You have the ability to ask for help, and you love the Lord. So, you know, for me, I don't have to be rich to consider myself successful, and I say I don't have to be rich monetary, money wise. I drive, an older car. I have clothes that I haven't replaced in 20 years. I'm not superficial about the things that I wear. I am successful with family. I'm successful with the ones that love me. I'm successful because I know who I am. I'm eager to ask for help when I need to. I will admit when I'm wrong. So I think my version or definition of success is not what you have necessarily achieved as far as status. It's the person that you are, and I think those things make somebody successful. I mean, you can be poor and be a wonderful person and people love being around you, or you could be rich and an asshole and nobody can stand you, right? Which one's successful? And loving the Lord. I think my definition of success is somebody who loves the Lord, who worships the Lord, and tries to live those Christian values to hopefully be in heaven one day. I mean, I think that's what we all strive for. At least that's what I strive for. So now that leading up to that, the next section is spirituality and religion. So, what do you believe is the purpose of life? So, there's different ways that you can take this. There's the strictly biblical view, Your purpose in life is to worship the Lord, to spread the gospel. That's it. That's your purpose in life. Okay? Spread the gospel, worship the Lord. To kind of take that a little bit broader, and I wrote to be very I can't even read. I can't even read my writing sometimes. I don't know what I wrote. To raise your children to love the Lord above everything else and everyone else, to serve Him and not yourself. I think the purpose of life is not to serve yourself. What can I do? What can I have? It's all about me, 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 me. It's about serving other people, serving the Lord, and I think that is the true meaning of life. And another thing to add, to raise children who will do it better than you did. So I will often look at my children and I will compare myself who I was at their age and even who I am now to them now. And I'm thinking, are they doing it better than I am? Are they stronger in their faith than I was or is? Are they a better member of society than I was or is? What are the relationships that they have with their spouse, their friends, their family? I often look at my children to see if they how they're doing in life. You know, I don't know. Kind of not sure where I'm going with that, but yeah, purpose in life: be a nice person, leave this earth at least in a better way than when you came into it, and hopefully I will leave this earth and people will have a memory of me, whether it's friends or family, and they'll go, "Yeah, that Mike Kimball. He was a great guy. He was a great husband. He was a great father. He was a great friend. He was a great neighbor. He was a great whatever." I guess the purpose in life, aside from worshiping the Lord and spreading the gospel, is just being able to leave a legacy of positivity. Right? Nobody wants to be in the obituary and somebody read and go, yeah, well, good riddance, because that guy was a jerk. I'd rather people read my obituary and go, man, it's a shame he passed away because boy, he was really something else. Next question: which has the most impact on our lives, fate or free will? And I'm going to say free will. I'm not necessarily a believer in fate. I mean, somebody'd have to really describe what their definition of fate is. Like, is everything in our world preordained? I know the Lord knows what's going to happen. He knows it before we know it. So our lives are already mapped out. But He gave us free will, and we have that free will to exercise. So if you are doing great in life, that's free will. If you're doing terrible in life, that's free will too. So I think all of us have the free will to make decisions for ourselves, to guide our own lives, and yeah, good or bad, the circumstances that you're in, while outside forces may have played a part in who you are as a person, whether it was how your parents treated you, how your family treated you, hard times that you fell on, rough things with your health that were, no direct correlation with anything you did. You have free will to decide how you're going to react to those things. Make sense? Yeah. So, next question under spirituality and religion: were your parents religious when you were growing up, and how did they express their spiritual beliefs? So, I was raised Catholic from the time that I can remember, going to church, sit, stand, kneel, Catholic Mass every Sunday, mom, dad, my two sisters, and it was very much you go because that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, of course, at a young age, you really don't fathom the gospel. Um, in Catholics, we were not encouraged to read our Bible. Not that I would have anyway, but we were not encouraged to do it. And Catholicism, there's a lot based on works. So, like I said, we were raised Catholic. I remember going to catechism, CCD. It was like um, after school Catholic classes, which you go to in leading up to your first communion, which is one of the sacraments in Catholicism. Taking the Holy Eucharist. Um, and I remember, I don't know if it was in leading up to first communion or if it was leading up to confirmation, which is, I'm not sure what age you get confirmed. But I remember being in CCD class and a bunch of nuns standing up there, and they were talking about purgatory. That's one thing they were talking about. And they were talking about praying to Mary, the Blessed Mother Mary, which Catholics do, right? I don't, in my walk with the Lord now, Mary is just the mother of Jesus, divine, divine birth, you know, born upon a virgin, the whole bit. But I don't pray to her. She is not going to give me my salvation. But in Catholicism, Mary's a big deal. And I remember being in CCD class, and now how they knew this, I think they were just saying it. Oh, this nun's like, there was somebody who, they led their life, and when they died, they went to purgatory, which is kind of like between heaven and hell. And that person used to say the rosary every single day, or she used to say 3 Hail Marys every single day. And it was the Hail Marys that got her out of purgatory and got her into heaven, which at the time, I was like, huh, that doesn't make any sense. And it just, it just reiterated that whole works will get you into heaven thing in Catholicism. Show up on church, throw your dollar in the basket, do your confessions, do these things, and say your Hail Marys once a week, and you're good to go. You'll go to heaven. So my upbringing was not based on grace, but works. We see, not talking about, yeah, I already talked about that. Um, Funny. So, my parents, we did talk about God in our household. We did talk about Jesus. We did acknowledge that Jesus died for our sins, that he was sacrificed on the cross. I don't know if it was as deep as, let's say, it is in my life now. When I was a teenager, I was I used to pick at my big toe trying to cut the toenail back, and I used to cut it back so far I wind up getting an ingrown toenail. And my mom had to take me to a podiatrist and have them cut the ingrown toenail out, which basically means they cut out your toenail. So, oh, he numbed my toe. It really didn't numb it completely, and he went at my big toenail with these like clipper things and ripped the toenail out. Well, it felt like somebody took a sledgehammer and smashed my toe. It hurt that bad. I mean, it actually brought tears to my eyes. And my mom was so pissed because the visit cost us $75, which is a lot of money back then. And we got in the car, and I'm like, Mom, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. And she looked at me and she says, well, now you know how Jesus felt. And I'm like, well, Jesus didn't have an ingrown toenail, so I'm not quite sure he knows how I feel, or I'm not sure how I know he feels. But yeah, that was trying to throw some shade on me, like using Jesus. Um, so I said church was a part of our lives, but not the center of it. And I'd say I was like 13, maybe 14 years old when my parents went to Marriage Encounter. You can look it up. It's like a couples therapy weekend that they go to, and it's sponsored through. I'm not sure if it's sponsored through the Catholic Church. I'm sure if you Google Marriage Encounter, you can learn more about it. But they got invited to do this marriage encounter weekend, and basically it's a couples retreat. They go on this weekend with a bunch of other couples. They hear talks by the panel. I'll call them like a seasoned couple that have been through it before, maybe a younger couple that has been through the program, and then the couples, my mom and dad, are encouraged to answer questions and go back to their room. They answer questions alone, and then they go back to their partner, their spouse, and then they talk about it, and they talk about whatever these questions were. And it could be about money, responsibilities in marriage, your sex life. It could be a lot of things. And what Marriage Encounter is supposed to do is open the lines of communication. They call it dialoguing, answering questions, talking to each other, learning more, basically working on your marriage. And Christ is the center of that whole process, that you put God first. It's God, then your spouse, then your children. And because you're putting God first, it's supposed to and does help your marriage. When my parents went to Marriage Encounter, that was probably a big leap in their faith and making Christ more centered in their lives. And I think as a result of that, my parents' faith has increased. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with my parents' religious beliefs in some things, some of the things that they've said. And I don't need to go into them, but from a biblical point of view, I don't necessarily agree with. But if you boil it down, both of my parents believe that Jesus Christ is their Savior, and because of that, I believe both my parents are going to heaven. Had they never gone to Marriage Encounter, not sure I could say that. So that was a big defining moment in their life. Yeah, it was a big defining moment in their life, and even a big defining moment in mine. Let me see. Yeah. So, all right, we're at 17 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop it here, and then the next section, next video, is a continuation of spirituality and religion. So, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.